Hello and welcome to another episode of today's GK. I am Pooja Dwivedi, and in this segment today we are going to discuss about objective questions to help you crack prelims. So let's begin with the practice question of the last segment. Which of the following can be classified as the impact of heat waves? Less workers' productivity, risk of wildfires, adverse pregnancy and childbirth outcomes, mental health issues. We have to select the correct answer. So many of you have answered it correctly. If we talk about the impacts of heat waves, when there will be an increased frequency and intensity of heat waves, they're of course going to have impacts on the productivity of the workers. So the first statement is correct. First impact is correct. It will also increase the instances of wildfires because it aggravates the problems of heat, and the dry shrubs do catch heat very quickly because of that. And adverse pregnancy and childbirth outcomes, also it will have an impact on the mental health of the people because it causes a lot of irritation and dilemma as well as confusion, the increased heat wave. So the correct answer to this question is option D. According to a recent study, more than 3,56,000 people died in 2019 as a result of extreme heat, and that number is likely to grow in the future. If we talk about the impacts of heat waves, extreme heat also lessens workers' productivity, especially among the more than 1 billion workers who are exposed to high heat on a regular basis. These workers often report reduced work output due to heat stress. Effects of the extreme heat are also seen with increased hospitalizations and emergency room visits, increased deaths from cardiorespiratory and other diseases, mental health issues, adverse pregnancy and childbirth outcomes. The heat dome acts as a fuel to wildfires which destroy many land areas every year in the countries like the US. So heat dome, we have also discussed about the concept of heat dome. A heat dome is a proper, concise dome that has been developed because of the rising, evaporating heat from the ocean, and it remains stagnant for a long period of time over an area. It is known as heat dome. So, moving forward, if we talk about the next question, we have to consider these statements. The government has decided to launch E-shram Shakti portal to maintain a database of workers in the unorganized sector, and as part of the initiative, the workers will be issued an E-shram card containing a 12-digit unique number. The workers do not need Aadhaar card to register on the portal. What do we have to do? We have to select the correct statement. Now, the government has decided to launch E-shram portal and not Shram Shakti portal to have a database of the workers in the unorganized sector. So, the first statement is incorrect. Yes, as a part of the initiative, the workers will be issued E-shram cards containing a 12-digit unique number. And the workers do need the Aadhaar card to register themselves. So, only the second one is correct. The correct answer is option B. In order to maintain a database of workers in the unorganized sector, the government will launch the E-shram portal tomorrow, that is on August 26th. As a part of the initiative, the workers will be issued an E-shram card containing a 12-digit unique number. So, if we talk about these cards or this particular portal, what will it do? It will help that the benefits reach the targeted population. Unorganized workers are seldom left out of the social security net. So, this is a step in the right direction when we talk about putting them in the net together. Moving on, a worker can register on the portal using his/her Aadhaar card number and bank account details, apart from filing in other necessary details like date of birth, hometown, mobile number and social category. Moving on, which of the following countries is the most sought after manufacturing destination globally? So, a country has recently surpassed USA, resorting to its better labor and land reforms, and that country is India. So, India is the correct answer. Moving forward, India has overtaken the US to become the second most sought after manufacturing destination globally, driven mainly by cost competitiveness, and China remains at number 1, of course. In its 2021 Global Manufacturing Risk Index, which assessed the most advantageous locations for global manufacturing among 47 countries in Europe and the Americas and Asia Pacific. Moving on, consider the following statements. The Zooxanthellae supply the coral with organic products of photosynthesis. The Zooxanthellae are responsible for the unique and beautiful colors of the corals. We have to select the correct statement. Both these statements are correct. So, the correct answer to this question is option C, both 1 and 2. A new study has identified for the first time that specialized immune cells phagocytic cells exist in certain varieties of sea corals and anemones. It will help in better understanding how reef-building corals and other reef animals protect themselves from foreign invaders like bacteria and viruses found in and around coral reefs. Corals are made up of genetically identical organisms called polyps. These polyps have microscopic algae known as zooxanthellae living within their tissue. So we have to keep one thing in mind, that the relationship which is shared between the corals and the algae and zooxanthellae is a symbiotic relationship, a mutualistic relationship, because they both benefit each other. Moving on, the coral provides the zooxanthellae with the compounds necessary for photosynthesis. In return, the zooxanthellae supply the corals with organic products of photosynthesis like carbohydrates, which are utilized by the coral polyps for the synthesis of their calcium carbonate skeletons. Moving on, in addition to providing corals with essential nutrients, zooxanthellae are responsible for corals' unique and beautiful colors. Moving on, with reference to the earthquakes, consider the following statements. It is caused by the sudden release of the transmitted pressure of moving lithospheric or crustal plates. The location below the Earth's surface where the earthquake starts is called the epicenter, and the Vadati-Benioff zones are associated with deep earthquakes. So what do we have to do? We have to select the correct statement. Yes, the Vadati-Benioff zone, it is related with the deep earthquakes. So the third statement is correct. And the location between the Earth's surface where the earthquake starts is known as the hypocenter. Okay, and not the epicenter. Epicenter is the region which actually for the first time ever receives the waves, and it is generally above the hypocenter. Second statement is incorrect. Earthquake is caused by sudden release of energy that is transmitted because of the pressure of moving lithospheric or crustal plates. So first and third statements are correct. The correct answer to this question is option C. Recently, the government has announced that India is going to have 35 more earthquake observatories by the end of 2021 and aims to add 100 more earthquake observatories by 2026. The earthquake is characterized by severe shaking of the ground and severe shaking of structures above the ground. They move slowly and steadily over the Earth's interior and many smaller plates. Earthquakes are basically tectonic, that is, moving plates are mainly responsible for the shaking of the ground, and the location below the Earth's surface, we have discussed these. Deep earthquakes, which come from 300 to 700 km, are produced in the Vadati-Benioff zone. It is a zone of subduction. What is subduction? One plate which is denser in nature, it moves beneath the lighter plate. Okay, along which earthquakes are common, which are produced by the interaction of downgoing oceanic crustal plates against a continental plate. Moving on, consider the following statements. The chairmanship of the BRICS forum is rotated annually among the members in accordance with the acronym BRICS. BRICS does not exist in any form of organization, but it is an annual summit between the supreme leaders of 5 nations. We have to select the incorrect statements. Actually, these 2 statements are correct. So the correct answer to this question should be option D, neither 1 nor 2. The Prime Minister of India and Russian President recently discussed charting out coordinated strategy in Afghanistan, while national security advisors from the 5 BRICS countries met virtually to discuss developments there with a focus on combating terrorism. The chairmanship of the BRICS forum is rotated annually among the members in accordance with the acronym BRICS. Also, BRICS does not exist in the form of organization, but it is an annual summit between supreme leaders of the 5 nations. Moving ahead, consider the following countries: Russia, China, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. What do we have to do? We have to select which of the above mentioned countries share a border with Kazakhstan. So if we talk about it, then Kazakhstan is bordered, of course, by Russia and China. So these 2 are there, and also Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, but not Tajikistan. So Tajikistan not being there, the correct answer should be 1, 2, 4 and 5. That is option C. As a part of military diplomacy and to strengthen the growing strategic relationship with Kazakhstan, the 5th edition of the Indo-Kazakhstan Joint Training Exercise, that is 𝐿ZIND 21, that will be conducted at 𝐿𝐶𝐫𝐵 in Kazakhstan from August 30th to September 11th. Kazakhstan is a transcontinental country mainly located in Central Asia with a smaller portion west of the Ural River in Eastern Europe. And you can see from this map, Kazakhstan shares a border with Russia, and China is also there, along with Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, and we have Tajikistan over here. Okay, so be very careful. Moving on, consider the following statements with respect to creamy layer in OBCs. For those not in the government, the current threshold for being considered in creamy layer is an income of Rs 8 lakh per year. For children of government employees, the threshold is based on their parents' income. So we have to select the correct statement. Creamy layer is basically a concept in which there is a categorization depending on the income, rank and status of a person within the OBCs. So creamy layer, for the persons who are not in governmental jobs, the current threshold for them is 8 lakh per annum, and it is being proposed to be 15 lakh. This is the proposal, and there is a building consensus on 12 lakh. Right now it is still in the process. And the first statement being correct. For children of government employees, the status for them being in the creamy layer or not depends on the parent's rank and not the income. Also keep that in mind. So the second being incorrect, the first being correct, the correct answer to this question is option A. The Supreme Court held on Tuesday that states cannot make annual income the sole yardstick to determine creamy layer within a backward class and exclude them from the benefits of the reservation. That means there are many other things that should be taken into account. First is the social advancement, and second, the representation in the government spheres. So, if you want to know more about it, I have covered this in the new series, you can watch it. Also moving on September 8th, 1993, the Department of Personnel and Training listed out various categorization of people of certain rank, status and income whose children cannot avail the benefits of OBC reservation. That was decided in the Indra Sawhney case. We have discussed this first statement and also the second. Moving on. Ain Dubai, recently seen in the news, it refers to what? A book of tourism in the Middle East, a collaboration of the GCC to boost tourism, investment, exhibition or observation wheel. So Ain Dubai is the world's largest and tallest, twice the size of the London Eye. It's an observatory wheel. Okay, observation wheel. So the correct answer is option D. The world's largest and tallest observation wheel will open here, that is in the UAE, on October 21st, the latest landmark to join Dubai's long list of record-breaking attractions at nearly twice the height of the London Eye. Ain Dubai will take visitors to a height of 250 meters, from where they could enjoy a majestic view of Dubai's picturesque skyline. Consider the following statements with regard to special drawing rights. The SDR is neither a currency nor a claim on the IMF. Rather, it is a potential claim on the freely usable currencies of IMF members, and the SDR basket of currencies include the US dollar, euro, Japanese yen, that is Japanese yen, pound sterling and the Chinese renminbi. The SDR currency value is calculated daily and the valuation basket is reviewed and adjusted every 6 years. We have to select the correct statement. So, special drawing rights, these are neither a currency nor a claim on the IMF. Rather, it is a potential claim on the freely usable currencies of the IMF members. And the SDR basket does consist of the euro, the US dollar, Japanese yen, pound sterling, and the Chinese renminbi that was included in the year 2016. So these two statements are correct. And the basket has to be reviewed and adjusted every 5 years. Here it is written 6 years. So the third statement is not correct. The first and the second are correct. The correct answer should be option A, that is 1 and 2 only. Pakistan received $2.75 billion from the International Monetary Fund under the Special Drawing Rights program to support low-income countries by the coronavirus. Its central bank said, special drawing rights are neither a currency nor a claim on the IMF, rather it is a potential claim on the freely usable currencies of IMF members. SDRs can be exchanged for these currencies, and we have discussed the second and the third statement, but the SDR currency value is calculated daily, except on IMF holidays or whenever the IMF is closed for business, and the valuation basket is reviewed and adjusted every 5 years. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements with respect to the prevalence of the disease or a virus. A disease is called endemic when the presence or usual prevalence of its infectious agent is constant within a given geographical area or population group. When the cases begin to rise, it is classified as epidemic. And chickenpox and malaria are endemic diseases. We have to select the correct statement. Yes, all these statements are correct. A disease, it is mentioned as endemic when the presence or usual prevalence of its infection agent is constant. That means the infection rates remain low or moderate and the population has learned to live with the virus. When the cases begin to rise, it is known as epidemic. And when these cases, they occur in many countries, that is known as pandemic. So the first and the second statement as well as the third. These three statements are correct. The correct answer is option D, all of the above. Chief Scientist of the World Health Organization, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, has said that COVID-19 in India may be entering some kind of stage of endemicity, where there is a low or moderate level of transmission going on. A disease, we have discussed the first statement. Moving on to the second and the third. We have already discussed this. Some examples of endemics do include chickenpox and malaria, where there are predictable number of cases every year in certain parts of the world. Moving on to the practice question, mRNA 1644, recently seen in the news, refers to which of the following? HIV vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine, coronavirus variant HIV, 𝐥𝐴 seeds. So I hope you'll be answering it correctly in the comment segment. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.